What if all your struggle, all your effort, has been completely in vain? What if the reality you are trying so hard to change isn't solid at all, but a mere shadow of a choice you made long ago? There is a sacred moment where all outer work must cease, a point of absolute stillness where you simply select the world you desire, and then do nothing. This is the secret that separates the creator from the creature of habit. It is the power to command your world from within, not fight it from without. By the end of this message, you will not just understand this power, you will feel it activate in the very core of your being. Stay with me, and you will learn how to let everything you have ever wanted simply and beautifully fall into place. You believe you live in a world of facts, of solid things, of circumstances that happen to you, but that is a dream, a deep slumber. The world you experience is not solid at all. It is a shadow, a magnificent three-dimensional reflection of your own consciousness. Your reality is born from one thing and one thing only. Your assumption, what you assume to be true, deep in the core of your being, hardens into fact. This is the law. There is no other power. The creative force of the universe is not outside of you, waiting to be petitioned or begged. It is your own wonderful human imagination. The I am within you is the one and only God. When you say, I am struggling, consciousness does not judge or argue. It simply, faithfully, embodies that state for you. It pushes out that world into your view. You are the operant power, and your assumption is the command that can never, ever be refused. You have been commanding poverty, lack, and loneliness without even knowing it, but that ends now. This power is not activated by struggle. You have been trying to change your world through effort, through fighting, through pushing against the unwanted. That is like trying to smooth a reflection in the water by striking the water itself. You only create more turmoil. The secret is to turn away from the reflection. Turn away from the world of shadows, the world your five senses report as real. It is a memory. It is the result of past assumptions. Your only work is to retreat within, into the temple of your own mind. And here, in the silence, you must ask yourself the only question that matters. What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would you feel right now if you were already the person you desired to be? If you already had what you desire to have? That feeling, that specific inner state, is the key. It is the fertile ground from which all new realities must spring. Do not fight the old man. Simply let him go. Assume the new. You are not creating something from nothing. Oh, that is the lie that keeps you feeling powerless. All things or states of being already exist. They are here, now, as possibilities within your consciousness. Think of it as an infinite gallery. The state of wealth is a finished painting. The state of perfect health is a finished sculpture. The state of being loved is a complete symphony. They are not to be made. They are to be selected. How do you select? Through your attention, through your assumption. By taking your focus off the reality of lack, you withdraw your energy from that state. You let it wither. And by placing your full feeling attention on the reality of your wish fulfilled, you breathe life into that state. It is a simple, silent inner selection. You are not a beggar hoping for a miracle. You are the heir to an infinite kingdom, choosing which part of your inheritance you wish to enjoy today. The choice is made through feeling, and once you have truly made that selection, once you have entered the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you do nothing. This is the great secret. This is where the world goes wrong. The logical mind, the ego, cannot stand this. It wants to rush out and make it happen. It needs to see the how, the when, the where. But the moment you do that, you have fallen from the state of the wish fulfilled. You have returned to the assumption of lack. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to the inner reality, to walk in your imagination as the person you now are, to feel the relief, the gratitude, the quiet confidence of it already being done. The how is not your business. The world of Caesar will rearrange itself. Doors will open, people will appear, ideas will come, all in perfect natural sequence to confirm what you have assumed within. Your inner world is the cause. The outer world is only the effect. This law is the supreme, unshakable foundation of all existence. To grasp this, even intellectually, is to hold the key that can unlock any prison you find yourself in. It is the power to select a new past, a new present, and a new future. But knowing the law and mastering its application are two different steps on the path. To truly wield this power, to make your inner world so vivid, so breathtakingly real, that the shadow world has no choice but to conform instantly. That requires a tool, a faculty you were born with but were taught to ignore, a way to build your new reality with such sensory richness that you can walk its streets and touch its walls long before it appears in your physical space. This is where we go deeper. This is what changes everything. That tool is your own wonderful, awakened imagination. This is the secret sense, the eye of God. When I speak of visualization, I am not speaking of idle daydreaming. I am speaking of a controlled, focused, sensory act of creation. It is the act of seeing, not with your physical eyes which only perceive the world of shadow, but with your inner eye which perceives the world of reality. Your imagination is the eternal body of God, and through it, you can enter any reality, clothe yourself in any state, and experience it as real. The world tells you, seeing is believing. But I tell you, believing is seeing. You must first see it within your mind's eye, with a clarity that rivals physical sight. You must build your desired world, detail by detail, in the sanctuary of your consciousness. For what you construct there in feeling and vision is the blueprint that your outer world has no choice but to follow. This is not a trick. It is the very nature of your being. Now, go deeper. To visualize effectively is not to simply look at a flat mental picture. It is to enter the scene. It must have sensory vividness. If you desire a home, do not just see it from the outside. You must be in the home, walk through its rooms, feel the texture of the wooden banister under your hand, see the sunlight streaming through a window that isn't yet built, hear the sound of your own footsteps echoing on the floor, smell the scent of roses from a garden that is, right now, only a desire. You must bring all your senses into the act. What would you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell if your wish were a present fact? Condense the entire experience into a single, simple, sensory act that implies the wish is fulfilled. For you, the handshake of congratulations. For you, the weight of the ring on your finger. Feel the embrace of a loved one. Make the future moment ... Now, here is what the mystics have always known, and what science is only beginning to understand. Your prescriptive, deeper mind, the consciousness that directs your life, does not know the difference between an experience that is physically real and an experience that is vividly imagined. When you create a scene with full sensory detail and feel the emotion that comes with it, your body reacts, your heart rate may change. A feeling of peace or excitement washes over you. In that moment, to your subconscious mind, it has already happened. You are impressing it with a new truth, and its only function is to objectify what is impressed upon it. It will move heaven and earth to bring forth a world that matches the feeling you have generated within. This is why feeling is the secret. The vividly imagined scene is the catalyst, but the feeling it produces is the true operant power that gives it life. You are not merely watching a film of a future you. That is the mistake of the beginner, who remains separate, an observer. You must be the actor in the divine drama. You must enter the state. When you close your eyes, you are not picturing a successful you. No, you are successful. The I am of you is now clothed in that state. So the scene you construct must imply this. Don't watch yourself signing a contract. Feel the pen in your hand, see your signature flowing onto the paper, and feel the wave of relief and accomplishment that follows. You are not visualizing for something. You are visualizing from the state of being it. This shift from third-person observer to first-person creator is the entire key. You are living, for a few moments, in the end. You are rehearsing the feeling of your wish fulfilled until it becomes your natural state. To enter this state once, in a moment of clarity, can be a revelation. It can send a shockwave through your being and begin to shift your world. But to transform your entire life, to make this power a consistent and reliable force, this requires something more than a single vision. It requires a new way of living, a new inner diet, a new discipline of the mind, to hold the feeling, to remain faithful to the unseen reality despite the loud contradictions of your senses, requires a sacred rhythm, a daily practice that anchors you in your assumption. It requires practical, actionable rituals that constantly, to remind you of who you now are. This is how you make the inner state your permanent home, until the outer world is rebuilt in its image. So let us build this sacred rhythm. The first step is not action, but clarity. You must be definite. A vague prayer receives a vague answer because consciousness can only objectify what is clearly defined. If you desire abundance, you must define what that state looks like for you. Don't just say more money. Assume the state that the money would bring. Is it a feeling of security, of freedom? Define a specific event, a concrete scene, which would only happen after your desire was a reality. See a specific number on a bank statement. Feel the keys to a new home in your hand. Hear a loved one congratulate you on your wonderful fortune. You must give your imagination a clear destination. This isn't a goal you are chasing. It is a reality you are choosing to enter. Make your intention a sharp, clear sensory event. This is the foundation of your ritual. With this clear scene in mind, you must visit it daily. This is your sacred rehearsal. The two most fertile times for this practice are just before drifting off to sleep and just upon waking. In these moments, the conscious, reasoning mind is subdued, and the gateway to the subconscious, the womb of creation, is wide open. Do not treat this as a chore. Treat it as a holy pilgrimage. For a few minutes each night, close your eyes to the world of Caesar and open them in the world of your assumption. Enter your scene, live it, feel its reality with every ounce of your being. Loop that short, simple act implying fulfillment over and over again, like a lullaby, until you drift off to sleep in that state. You are impregnating your deeper mind with this new truth. By visiting your true home every night, you will soon find you are living there all day. Now, you must anchor this new reality in your waking hours. This is the purpose of tools like affirmations and vision boards. But you must understand their true function. A vision board is not a wish list for the universe. It is a collection of portraits of your true self and your true home. Each image is a reminder of the reality you have already selected within. It helps you keep your attention on the promise. despite what your senses may tell you. An affirmation is not a plea. It is a declaration of what is. When you say, "I am wealthy," you are not trying to convince yourself. You are announcing the truth that is already established in your imagination. It is a royal decree. You are commanding your mind to stay fixed upon this new conception of self, drowning out the clamor of the old world. And the final, most powerful ritual is the cultivation of gratitude. But this is a specific kind of gratitude. It is not thanking something outside of you for what you hope to receive. It is the feeling of gratitude for what you already have. In imagination, what would your dominant feeling be if your greatest desire were a present fact? It would be a profound sense of relief and thankfulness. So, feel that now. Throughout your day, find moments to feel grateful that you are the person you want to be. This is the Sabbath, the state of rest. It is the mental state where you are no longer striving or seeking, because you know that it is finished. This feeling of gratitude is the highest form of faith. It is the seal upon the creative act, aligning your entire being with the vibration of abundance and fulfillment. To walk this path, to perform these sacred rituals daily, is to consciously sculpt your world. It is to take the reins of your own creative power and move from being a creature of circumstance to the creator of your experience. You are building, stone by stone, the inner temple of your fulfilled desire. But be aware, as you build this new temple, the echoes from the ruins of your old self will make themselves heard. The shadows of your former consciousness will rise to test your faith. Doubt, impatience, and the overwhelming evidence of your current senses will appear as giants in your path. To face these giants and not flinch, to know they are powerless shadows of a world that is already dead. This is the mark of the master, and these giants will appear. The first and most formidable is doubt. Doubt is not an external enemy. It is the voice of your old self, the echo of a state you have already chosen to abandon. It will whisper to you using the language of reason and logic, pointing to your empty pockets or your empty home as proof. It will tell you to be realistic, but you must understand, this voice is a ghost. It speaks of a world that is already dissolving. The strategy to defeat doubt is not to fight it. You cannot argue with a shadow. You must simply withdraw your attention from it. When doubt arises, you must turn your inner gaze back to your scene, back to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You starve the doubt by feeding your faith. Faith is not a blind leap. It is the simple, quiet act of returning your attention to what you have already decreed is true within. The second giant is impatience. This is a subtle but powerful poison. Impatience is the admission that you do not have your desire, that you are still waiting for it to arrive. It is proof that you have fallen from the state of the wish fulfilled and have returned to the state of lack. Your creative act in imagination was instantaneous. It is done. The physical world has its own appointed hour, a natural interval of time to bring it forth, like a seed that needs time to sprout. Your only task is to persist in the assumption that it is done. When you feel impatient, recognize it as a red flag. It is a signal to immediately return within and re-enter the feeling of the Sabbath, the peaceful state of knowing your prayer is already answered. Live from the end, and time becomes your servant, not your master. And this leads to the third and most persistent challenge, the tyranny of your senses. Your eyes, your ears, your hands, they are beautiful, but they are liars. They only report the world that is already a memory, the hardened facts of your past assumptions. To live by this law, you must practice a strict mental diet. You must refuse to give your creative energy and attention to the appearances of the world if they contradict your desire. When you see lack, you must feel abundance within. When you experience loneliness, you must generate the feeling of being loved within. This is the great work. It is an act of inner rebellion against the evidence of the senses. You must deny the reality of the shadow world and remain loyal, internally, to the world you have built in your imagination. For what you are loyal to in consciousness will become your reality in the world. So, how do you maintain this faith? How do you persist? Faith is simply loyalty to your unseen reality. Persistence is not a grim, effort-filled struggle. It is the gentle, consistent act of returning to your assumption every time you are thrown off course. If you fall, you simply pick yourself up and return to the feeling. If the world screams no at you, you quietly whisper yes inside. This isn't a battle to be won through force, but a truth to be realized through awareness. You are not trying to make it happen. You are simply accepting that it has already happened in the one true reality, which is your own consciousness. Your persistence is in this acceptance. You live, breathe, and think from this new state, regardless of the temporary chaos outside. This is not a path of untested theory or wishful thinking. This is the law of your own being, as real and as dependable as gravity. It is not a new power you are acquiring, but an old one you are remembering. And this law is impersonal. It works for anyone who dares to assume their desire and remain faithful to that assumption. You see evidence of it everywhere, though you may not have recognized it before. The world's great figures, its titans of industry, its visionary artists, they were not simply lucky, nor were they born with something you lack. They, consciously or unconsciously, stumbled upon this law. They held a vision within so strongly that the world had no choice but to bend to it. They are living proof that a man's assumption if persisted in, will harden into fact. Consider the stories you have heard. Think of the man who, when he was unknown and struggling, wrote himself a check for an impossible sum of money for acting services rendered. He carried it not as a hopeful wish, but as a promise, a fact that had simply not yet appeared in the physical realm. He dated it for the future and looked at it until he could feel the reality of it. What was he doing? He was not merely daydreaming. He was using a physical object to anchor a powerful assumption. Every time he looked at that check, he was rehearsing the feeling of being a successful, paid actor. He was living from the end. The world, seeing his unwavering inner conviction, had no choice but to bring him the very sum he had written, at the very time he had decreed. The check was not magic. The assumption it created was. Think of the woman who rose from abject poverty and abuse to become one of the most influential voices on the planet. Did she do it by focusing on the harsh facts of her reality? No, she did it by cultivating an inner vision of who she was meant to be. She would walk into rooms and feel the part, assume the state of the person she desired to become, in her imagination. She was already a voice of wisdom, a beacon of hope, a vessel of abundance. She felt it so deeply, so consistently, that her inner world began to overwhelm her outer one. She was living proof that your current circumstances are irrelevant. Your past does not define you. Only your present assumption has creative power. And she assumed a state of greatness long before the world saw any evidence of it. These figures are not gods. They are men and women who discovered the law, either by accident or by design. The power they used is not a special power granted only to the famous. It is the universal human heritage. The law of assumption is as impersonal as the law of electricity. It does not care about your social status, your education, or your past. It only responds to your present state of consciousness. These stories are not meant to place these people on a pedestal. They are meant to be mirrors, showing you the power that lies dormant within you. They are giant signposts pointing you back to yourself, back to the I am within you, which is the one and only creative power. Do not mistake the demonstration for the source. The power that these individuals used is the very same power you are using right now, perhaps unconsciously, to create your own reality. The only difference is that they, in those moments of clarity, directed it toward a specific, noble end. They dared to imagine a reality different from the one their senses showed them, and they remained loyal to that inner vision. They proved to you that it can be done. They are your brothers and sisters in creation, who have simply shown you the path home. Their success is not theirs alone. It is a testament to the power that resides in all humanity, waiting to be consciously directed. And so, the book of evidence is filled. Countless stories, both famous and unknown, all tell the same tale. What you assume, with feeling, to be true, must and will harden into fact. The proof is there. The law is established. The question is no longer whether this power is real. The question is no longer whether it works for others. The only question that remains, the only question that has ever mattered, is what will you assume? The stage of your mind is now set. The power is yours to command. These stories were not told for your entertainment, but for your awakening. To show you what is possible when you turn away from the shadow world and dare to live from your own wonderful human imagination. The striving is over. Your only work now is to live from the end. You are not creating the future. You are remembering the reality you have just selected. So, the only question left is, what state are you wearing right now? Declare it in the comments below. Let your words be the first echo of your new reality. Subscribe and turn on notifications to continue this journey inward, where all true power resides. And if this message sparked a fire in you, the next one is the fuel. Click the video on your screen now and become what you already are.